Hello everybody, it's Darren from Republic of Play here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Age of Wonders Planetfall. Now this game came out about a week ago, and I didn't get sent it early, so I'm not able to do one of my usual, more timely and scripted reviews. Instead, we're going to be doing a kind of more laid-back first impressions video on my first 10 hours in the game so far. And so far, I've been really enjoying the game. Now for those who don't know, this is essentially a 4X sci-fi game, very much in the vein of a Civilization, where you can also play out the battles in a turn-based hex grid based kind of format. It's got 6 unique races for the lore, it's got unique characters within those races that you can choose, and then it's got 11 campaigns that you can play out so that you can see kind of story missions and objectives and how characters relate to each other and stuff like that. So let's just jump into a save that I've got currently going on right now. We'll kind of take a look at some of the campaign mechanics, and then we'll kind of take a look at the unique individuality of the races, the sandbox mission structure, and stuff like that a little bit later. So we're just loading into my campaign that I've got going here. This is one of the first campaigns that you can choose. You can actually choose from one of 3 campaigns right at the beginning, and they're each kind of headed by 3 different types of race. And then if you want to play the other 3 races, you have to progress through the campaigns and unlock them, or you can just go straight into sandbox and play them if you want, if you don't want to do the campaign stuff. Now so far I've really enjoyed the campaign. You know, there's a bit more story stuff going on there, there's some dialogue between the characters, and then there's extra missions. Some of them are kind of random missions that I think would pop up even in sandbox, and then some of them are more pre-scripted missions, which are definitely just for the campaign itself. So we're playing as the Devar, so we'll take a look at what this race basically looks like here. We'll just select one of the guys. So the Devar are these kind of hench, stout little dwarven Russian dudes, which are very authoritarian, and they're very mining orientated. They're kind of like these miners. A lot of their weapons are to do with cutting stone and rail guns and things like that. So they're a really, really cool race, and they're just one of the ones I preferred to pick at the beginning. And they just look awesome. They basically look like Little Helgen from Killzone, if anyone's played that series on PlayStation. But anyway, that's one of the characters there. Essentially, there are these hero characters that you put in armies. Armies can only have 6 units in them. You don't have to have a hero, but having a hero is pretty good. And then you can equip him with different weapons and things like that. We'll get to all that because that is quite in the minutia. I think we'll just start off from a point of familiarity, which is Civilization, right? So for a lot of people anyway, most people know how Civilization plays and what that game is all about. And you can see that this game is very similar just in terms of its presentation. Now I'm sure some people are going to be saying, oh, well, it's similar to the other Age of Wonders. I am coming from a point of ignorance on this one. I don't play the other Age of Wonders. I never have. This is my first Age of Wonders game, and I really, really like this, like I said, as a standalone thing, and I feel like I haven't missed out, and I've been told that you don't really miss out, you know, if you don't play the other ones either. So let's take a look at what's going on first. So I think actually something that would be nice to just look at really quickly is the actual presentation of this game. I think it's a really beautiful looking game. It's obviously hex grid, hex based, so it's going to be a little bit weird in terms of its terrain generation stuff, but for one of these games, I think it looks really, really good. We're playing in an Arctic biome. This is just one of the planets. Planets are algorithmically and randomly generated. Now on the campaign, this is a campaign mission. Obviously this one is probably a bit more scripted in terms of what is placed where. But for a regular sandbox, you can just generate planets with different biomes. There's jungles, and then it meets Arctic, and then it meets desert, and things like that. So there's quite a lot going on in terms of variety and things like that, in terms of visual variety. And you can fight out in the ocean, fight naval battles, and get naval units, just like a Civilization game as well. There's pirates, there's raiders, there's NPCs, there's wildlife, things like that you will come across from time to time, as well as the 5 other races, which are typically in control of by some sort of legendary sort of hero. So let's pop the UI back on, and let's take a quick look at what's going on. So the first thing I thought we'd touch on is city building itself. So here we have my capital city, Fastopol, and we can rename this if we want, which is pretty nice. If you go to manage and then well, I can't remember, so whatever, but you can rename it. There's definitely a way to do it. I just can't really remember right now. It doesn't really matter anyway. So essentially how this works is you have unit production, you have structure production, which is structures within the city itself. Then you have sector production, which is for the sectors that are surrounding it. So these kind of other hubs, but you can see the blue line here going all the way around. It all connects as one. So those are the extra sectors. So we have an industrial sector here, and we have another one here. So we can dismantle the industrial exploitation or dismantle the reinforcement factory. So we have the reinforcement factories up here at Red Core Facility, And then we have the other one down here at Topaz Summit. So we could dismantle those because once they're built, they're pretty much set until you get a new technology to increase them. So that's kind of sectors. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then we have our colonists. We can shift around what the colonists do. And then we have all the kind of stuff that we've built everywhere if we just want to see a summary. So first of all, what we'll take a look at is the resources that are in play in this game, right? So first of all, you have food, and food is going to be used just to grow your pops and population. Then we have, determine the growth rate of a new colonist. Then we have energy, which is basically your upkeep for units and upkeep for pretty much everything in the game. A lot of buildings have upkeep, units have upkeep, and you spend it to do other things like call-ins, like if you want to call in support and call in airstrikes and things like that in battle or even on the campaign. Then we have production. So this is pretty familiar for anyone who's used to playing Civilization. This is the rate at which you will build things. So yeah, that's the rate at which you'll build things. And if you focus on production, then you'll be building units and building buildings way faster. Then you've got knowledge. Knowledge is going to be what contributes to your technology trees, and then happiness, and then how many people you can have in your specific town. I think that number can be increased as well. I've only got two towns on the go at the moment. We've got Kasamonov, and then we have Fastopol as well. So let's talk sectors, because that's probably the biggest differentiating factor right in the beginning from Civilization. I'm just going to turn up the game as well a little bit. It's just a bit quiet. So sectors and how you expand is actually different than Civilization. When you build a colonizer unit or an army, you can go out and claim sectors. Now, sectors are predetermined where they're going to be. Now, the maps can be algorithmically generated and random, but where these areas are going to be are always usually an equal distance away from each other. And you'll see them in the center of where all these icons are. So, essentially, if you want to claim this area, you have to build here. You can't build a city here, for instance. You have to build on a specific tile that has a name already attributed to it. I don't really know exactly why they've chosen to do that, but that's the way it is, and so far I don't really mind it. It seems to work. So you can go out and claim it as a forward base, you can claim a colony, or you can annex it into a currently already established city. So if we wanted, we could make this a city itself, or we could just make it part of this city, and that's what these two areas up here, up and down here are. So, once you get to a certain number of pops, so for instance here at High Veld Plains, it says we can annex this into Fastopol, but we need an extra colonist. Now, it only takes one turn to do it, and you only need an army to do that, whereas you need an actual colonizer unit to take it to build an entire new city. So that's kind of how this sector situation works. So if we for instance see that, oh, we want a lot of energy or we want a lot of food, maybe this would be a good next sector to annex in, and you just send a unit out there and you annex it. Simple as that. And then you start specializing it in here. When you go to your sector production, you can specialize what it does. So for instance, out here we've got an equal amount of food, energy, and knowledge. We'll have to specialize that to do one thing. We can't get all three, I don't think. I think so anyway, or at least build on the one thing to get to kind of exploit it further. So that's kind of how that works, and it's pretty standard stuff, pretty much like Civilization. And then, like we said, I've got a few units here that already can be built. We have a colonizer. A prospector is a unique unit for the type of race that we are. This is going to be a unit that drives out and builds, or what doesn't really build, it prospects and gets resources from these different kind of nodes that are around the map. So what's the next thing we should look at? Unit production, I guess, is probably a good stepping off point. So yeah, unit production is pretty standard as well. You have different units that just take a little bit of time to produce based on the production rates that you make. But then as well, when you make a unit, which we'll just try to find one here. When you make units, you can actually equip them with things called mods. So different units have different abilities. For instance, this is a Baron unit. We have Bulwark. We have Purifiers. There's a lot of cool units. Trenchers are probably like your go-to unit for the Devar. These are essentially just like your standard rifleman unit. They come with these shields. They can use this kind of like lockdown ability where they entrench themselves. Yeah, there it is there. Entrench. They build shield. They put their shields down on the ground and kind of lock themselves into a little testudo almost. So these are a pretty cool unit. Now the interesting thing you can do with these, you can actually give them stuff like little modifications on a unit specifically, and the unit then can gain different experience. We can see these two have actually 2 bars of experience, whereas this one only has 1. And putting different things on them, like for instance, let's have a look, right? We've got Purification Field, restore 10 health and remove any non-psionic status effects, and so on and so forth. So it gets pretty in-depth and pretty involved. And what you do is you spend energy on something called Cosmite. on these things. And Cosmite is the only other unique resource in the game that kind of comes from these unique areas like here. So we have 4 kind of hostile aliens sitting on this Cosmite resource, and if we were able to clear that, then our red core facility here will make the Cosmite for us because it's within our territory over time, and we'll just increase our Cosmite. So if we click them and then we click this, we can see Cosmite Spatial Rift is here, and it grants +5 if it's within our territory and, you know, it doesn't have an enemy sitting on it. We have something similar happening up here. An enemy is sitting on this area, and this is an orbital defense uplink. This is quite interesting. When they're on that, we actually cannot replenish within here. So it's kind of interesting how there's a few different things on the map that change how the game is played. This is actually a landmark, which is very different. It's a government palace landmark. It's owned by us, and it's a very special thing. There's only a couple of these on the map, and they have these unique outputs, and they unlock certain buildings and things like that for us to use. So they're very rare, good to have, but I haven't connected it yet to my territory, so we're not actually really gaining its benefits, not properly anyway. So those are that's kind of some of the unit production. You know, there's 6 different races, like I said, so there is a lot of different units so you can take a look at. I don't have access to all the units yet. I'm pretty early on. We're only 30 turns into this campaign, so there's a really cool and good mix of units. You know, these guys are pretty much heavy infantry. They're based on blast weaponry, I think it's called, something like that, blast weaponry, whereas other races have psionic weapons. They use their minds. Other people have arc firing and things like that, like lightning fire, and others focus on actual flames and stuff like that, so, and elemental weapons. So our guys are very much using traditional bullets for the most part, blasts, explosives, missiles, things like that. And they have mechs and flying units and stuff to all kind of contribute to that. So I think we have flying units in these armies, do we? Yeah, we do. We have one here. So they're pretty cool. We'll fight a battle and we'll get a look at some of this stuff pretty soon as well. But yep, that's basically just the general idea of the different units and stuff we have. Those prospector units, by the way, you can actually bring them into battle and they kind of lob grenades out. So I really do like this race. There's a lot of flavor, a lot of interesting stuff going on with the unique races in the game, I feel. And I've only really touched on one and come across others. We have these other guys we're probably going to fight, and these are very much using the psionic power, and they have their own weapon mods and stuff like that. So you got to be really careful, and it's cool when you're in a battle you can check what they've got and what their capabilities are, as well as here if you wanted to know beforehand. And these guys actually die and come back to life several times, so they're very interesting, very cool. There's a lot of differentiation between the different races, like I said, which we'll look at towards the end. So we kind of touched on already city building, unit production, and how we expand. The next thing we'll take a look at is objectives. So in this campaign we've got these lists of objectives over here to the left, and essentially we can kind of start checking some of these off. So we can see over here we've got an objective symbol on the city of Forsaken. That's for the objective, The Sound of Music. So this is called Investigate the Stadium. The data storage chip containing a record of blah 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 blah. You get the idea, and this will give us influence. We're actually maxed out, which is not a good thing to be, but this will give us influence. Influence is used for diplomacy, and in diplomacy, our little powerful dude here can talk to different people. There's other people of our same race here, by the way, and that's part of the story that's going on within this campaign. And then there's people we're at war with as well. And you can see the races look really cool. These are sort of half cybernetic dudes, which use psionic powers. They're very, very cool. We've got the Syndicate as well, which I think... Well, I won't speak out of turn, but I think they use psionic as well. I could be wrong with that. And yeah, so anyway, actually we have here. So we have our known races, the Assembly, the Devar, and the Syndicate. But we'll look at those a little bit later, like I said. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there, a lot of dynamic kind of interplay between the different units and matchups that will come up. You could be fighting your own race, you could be fighting a completely different race, and because of that you need different weaponry and different units and different modifications on your units to go fight them. So, for instance, all we have to do to go out here is go out there, fight anything if it's there, hold it for a while, and that will complete that quest. But the other one we can do is resolve the Zelo-Razavit conflict. So this is kind of one of the main quests that we actually need to do. And that's essentially in diplomacy. The other guy is Zelezo-Razavit. So we're the Zelezo, and the Razvet are the guy we were just looking at a second ago. Vladimir Razvet. So we've been talking with this guy for a while and kind of buttering him up, and we've got a defensive alliance. Now I'm at the stage where we can propose an alliance. We'll add that. And he says, fair deal for you. Normally says it's a fair deal for both. So I think he says fair deal either way, so it should be okay. There we go, he's happy with it. So now we're allies, and one of our goals with that objective was to either make this guy an ally or just completely defeat him. And then he gives us this little story mission, or a little bit of dialogue. And sometimes these are voiced and sometimes not, which is a bit strange. But anyway, he says, at long last, the rift between our consortia is mended. The Razvet will stand at your side once more. In memory of Alexandra, we will work together to better the future of all Devar.
Objective completed.
Boom. So now we're after just obtaining a new unit called the Devar Earth Crusher. We'll take that reward. Here it is here. What a beast. I've actually never used this in battle, but it looks incredible. So yeah, this thing looks like a serious heavy weapons mother effer. It looks like it'd be pretty cool. It's actually amphibious, bar, unstoppable juggernaut, huge target grinder. Adjacent enemy units take 15 damage each turn. So just being even near units, it's damaging them because of, I guess, its big rotary things there. Earth crack, lock in place at the center of a sector for 2 turns. You then crack the sector, granting you valuable resources. So this thing can actually do things in these unique locations, these different areas, to crack them and get resources out. So it's interesting the way the units actually have an interesting dynamic on the campaign and in battle. And I love, because I'm early in its first impressions, we're early in the game, I love finding out about all these new different units that I'm coming across all the time. It's always like new ways to think and play, which is so much fun. And this is all within one race so far. So the next objective that I had to do was disrupt the Sinumbra ritual. So we have to keep Mordecai alive, which is this guy here. He was given to us as part of this kind of objectives chain that was going on right now. So this guy is Mordecai. I think we lose him after this battle. He's just here for this battle specifically, and he's given us a couple of units, and we're bringing a few units in. So we've actually got 6, 6, and 1. So we've got 13 units just against 4, because not spoilers, I guess. Behind the scenes, I lost to these guys once before, so I remember the second time I was like, okay, I'm bringing up 2 armies to defeat these guys. So I think it's a good amount of time now. We've seen the campaign. That's basically what's going on. You can just build out and extend on these different nodes to get the different kind of things you want, whether it be more food, production, knowledge, whatever the case might be. You spend influence when you're doing diplomatic deals, or if you want to call in certain things. And then, yeah, you come across these other guys, and then you have to fight them out. God, I'm actually losing my mind. I think I'm having a stroke. Fight it out with them, I think is what I was trying to say. So yeah, let's just get to it. All right, let's go. So this is our kind of battle screen where we can see what we want to do. If we want, we can auto the combat, or we can do manual combat. Our guys have different capabilities. This guy is actually a sniper. He's probably my favorite character in the game. Whereas we have a different commander, which we'll just take a look at in a second. We'll just abort that attack. If we go back over here, this guy was, you may remember, he had the kind of Ripper sword axe thing. So he's a melee combatant, you know, and you can kind of upgrade his skills then to be based on that. So we've learned close quarters specialization, and we've increased his health as well because of that. By the way, if those characters die in this specific campaign mission, we lose the campaign, so we cannot have them die. All right, let's go. We'll go to manual combat so we can have a look at the combat. All right, here we go. So another interesting thing is actually you can actually look back on this as a replay afterwards if you want, and you can just have the turns be really seamless and sped up, which I think is a cool feature. So defenders always go first. That's the rule. So they went first just there, and that was quite quick. So we have our first army here, we have our second army here, and our third army there. So it actually does represent the tiles of the campaign really well. You might remember this is roughly the angle we had on the campaign. They were there, and we had an army up, middle, and south. And that's essentially what we get again. So if we want, we can do the old remove the UI, have a little zoom in, look at our units a little bit, just to kind of get a feel for them. If you want to look at their models and stuff. They do look pretty good. Generally speaking, I don't think they're ever really meant to be zoomed in this much. I think they do look best from the desired height, which is probably around here. But yeah, so what we're essentially doing in this mission is disrupting a ritual that these guys are trying to do at this specific shrine. For whatever reason, I don't know. And we'll get rewards and things for doing that. So let's kick their ass and see what the kind of combat is like. So there we go. And what do we want? Oh yeah, you can press Control G to see all the hexes if you want. I actually prefer having it off. I don't think you need to see it, because you can basically see it here anyway. So the first thing, I'll try to keep the camera at a fixed angle. We're going to keep it this way, roughly around here. So just like a kind of an XCOM or something like that, you know, there is cover when you move up against something that's like half cover or full cover. Full cover you can't shoot over. We have different things like Overwatch if we want to put on Overwatch and just guard these different areas, things like that. We have defensive modes, different firing methods, and a bunch of different things going on. But let's just get into it. So what I'm going to do first, get rid of that. What I want to do first is we have foremen and we have trenchers. Now trenchers have that entrenchment ability I was telling you about, and then we have foremen that can actually heal people. So I'm going to keep them back almost as support units, although they do excel in being up close and actually hitting people, but they can also throw grenades, so I think they're better to have as support. So we're going to start moving these guys up first. So you can also see this is your action points down the left. We've got health here. These guys are a little bit damaged from the previous fight. And then there's morale. Now I've never really seen morale actually play an effect. I'm not too sure why that is, but I think if you lose your commander, morale will go down. And with enough morale loss, you won't be able to control your units. I think that's how it works. I've never seen it happen yet. Even when I've had huge morale shattering effects, it's never gone all the way down. So it could just be the case that having 300 morale is just quite high and it never really plays an effect, but it does seem to be some sort of gameplay mechanic that's there. Maybe it pertains to a different race a bit more than our one. Okay, so yeah, let's get moving. So I think the first place I'm going to go is... Where's my other trencher first? So we got a trencher here. So it says leave 1 point before I can do that. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to waste it. So send this guy out here. We'll pop into entrenchment mode to give him a little bit of cover. I'm going to run these guys quite far forward, and we'll do the same with them. Next turn. We can't do it now, obviously. Do the same with them. Bring them up as support. Bring them up as support. And then we'll get our sniper... I don't know, somewhere back here. It's not good being this bunched up against psionic guys because they can kind of chain their attacks, but whatever. I think we've got enough. We should be fine. Now, there's also a facing direction which matters. So I think it's free to change your facing direction. But you can be flanked, and flanking hits do way more damage. So always good to be facing the correct way just to make sure that you're not going to get flanked. So we'll leave those guys where they are. Start moving these ones out now as well. Gonna move them out this way. Get the old flank on them. So what do we got? We got trenchers here, so let's move the trencher up. Then we'll enter cover. Another trencher here, enter cover here as well. I think that'd be good. We've got our mech. We can put him on Overwatch out here, I think. Yep, so he's on Overwatch. We got this dude. I actually equipped him with a shotgun. He doesn't normally use it, but I think he does just fine with it. So I gave him a shotgun that we earned in a previous battle. I probably should have showed that. But yeah, I'll bring him up for close quarters. Of course, if he dies, we lose. This objective will fail. So we can't have him do anything too crazy. Oh yeah, I also gave him a drone deployment. So this thing can heal other units, but it only lasts for 4 turns. So we'll deploy it if we need it. I'm just going to send him over there for now. And then we've got our little prospector, which is actually really more of a campaign thing more than anything else. Nice, that's it. Let's go. So they've done Broken Mind on these guys, which is a big morale debuff. Same with over here. And they're doing their chain command. So I'm really kind of confused how that works. Like, why does it go from there to there and then through cover to a guy behind? Like, why doesn't it keep going? I don't know why. It doesn't seem like they even need to be touching a lot of the time.
Available.
Alright, so we took a bit of damage there, but luckily we have these guys here which can heal this unit. So that unit is now healed. We could enter entrenching. Or we could just go for an attack. The attack seems quite low though. It's not too bad against these guys. Yeah, we'll just go for the attack. So that's our spike gun. Gonna use these guys to do the same. Just target the same unit. Good job. Maybe get our sniper now to take a shot. Oh, I just about can't finish them off. If we get a critical, he might though. No, so close. Maybe a grenade would do it. No. Okay, so what we could do is bring this guy in and do it, probably. Oh, we are just out of range. That was such a shame. Are we out of range here? No, we're not. Okay, this is good. We'll get them both. Only 10% chance, though. Oh, we got him.
Killed.
So we got him, but he actually... This unit has this thing where they come back I don't really exactly know why either, because I did try to read about them. But it doesn't seem to mention that they do that. So, I don't know how you know that. But either way, I just know from playing it. Maybe it does say it somewhere in here. I probably haven't read absolutely every single stat that they have. But there you go anyway, so they have come back. So it's not a big surprise because I did know that they would do it. So let's fire another missile down on these guys. So you can only fire one of these every now and then. You have to wait a few more turns, and then you just do these aerial ram attacks, which look ridiculous. So firing those guys again. So a similar situation, these guys are probably going to come back, I think. We're going to move our mech forward and take a shot on them. Mech is quite powerful, and I think it's immune to like psionic attacks. Right. So also the way combat works is when you fire something, I believe they typically fire in 3 bursts. So when you have something like that says 50% chance, you have a 50% chance every single attack. So you go 1 attack, 2 attack, 3 attack, and every one of those has a 50% chance of hitting. And that's how you can gauge kind of how well you're doing. So we got 2 trenches here not really doing much because they're a bit too far back. So we can leave our own cover and start going for the flank. Although there is a guy right there. So I guess we could take a shot on him. 30% chance though. Yeah. So the reason we only fired once is because we'd already used up some movement and action points, I think. Let's take a look. We're out of range with these guys. So if we were to move here, still out of range. If we were to move here, we can still attack, and it says 1 times 11. 35%. And it did 6 damage. Okay. Oh yeah, and then we've got our shotgun dude. So I'm going to start moving him up as well. Bit dangerous, but I don't mind. Alright, let's go. Oh yeah, so there's another thing that actually ties into the campaign. You can call in operations. So if we want to do a shredder bomb, yeah, we could do this. So we're going to pay energy from the campaign to kind of call down a missile strike on these guys. We could do it on this one just to actually kill him, but he'll probably come back anyway, so I don't know if it'd be a waste or not. What I'm going to do is drop advanced munitions provisions, which will give a friendly unit explosive attack, gains 1 range, 25% damage. It's only if we have an explosive attack, so it would be really good to use on something like this when they're firing their missile. But we've already used the missile, so we're not going to do it now. So instead we'll just do this. I'll do this. Boom. So that costs us energy on the campaign, which I think is interesting that they actually use campaign effects like that. Now you can't do that too often, you have to wait in between the operations, and there's a certain amount you can do per battle as well. And they can do it as well, by the way.
Unit under enemy control.
So he's after mind controlling this unit completely, so I've lost control of that unit. He's doing some melee attacks on these guys. Okay, he's after just kind of breaking my guy's mind, or whatever that means. I think we could fire down on these guys with the spikes. Yep. Oh my god, 52%, we missed. Damn. It happens, I guess. Let's try to do an aerial ram. Critical hit, that's what that means. But he's just going to get back up anyway. Right, we'll just keep bringing the mech out. I think we need to go for this guy a bit more, though. So I'm going to go here against the cover and then aim at him so that this unit doesn't flank me. Only 30% chance here, but... yeah, it worked. Seemed good. Gonna run this guy up. What does this grenade do? An ego bomb. Throw a bomb that deals damage in a 1 hex radius, high impact, stagger units, reducing action points and cancelling all defensive moves. Psionic, it bypasses all. Broken mind. Ignores line of sight penalties. Can we throw it from here? No. Just tempted to throw it and see kind of how it does. Oh shit! That unit was like in Overwatch, I think. So when we moved, it got us. Because there isn't a... or it might just be the fact that we were next to it. Sorry, I guess on reflection, it seems like I don't know a lot about these battles, but at least you're able to see it for yourself. And I have been playing for like, I don't know, 10 hours. I played quite a few battles, but I am still like learning as I go with a lot of this stuff. Hopefully you don't mind. Alright, let's aim. Let's go. I don't want to attack my own unit. That'd be crazy. So a nice like quality of life feature is when I'm just like standing here, you can see that there's actually a green X over this, and that's letting me know who I can target. A red X here means I can target them, but it's low, and a yellow X here means I can target them, but it's kind of a medium chance. That's a pretty nice quality of life feature. Just like instantly you can see who you can attack and your chances against doing that, which I really like. Alright, pretty standard hit against them. Let's come in for the ram against one of these guys. 90% chance of taking them down, so let's do that. Boop. It's quite a... oh, it said it was going to kill them, but I guess maybe it wasn't an effective hit or something. We'll just spike hit them.
Enemy annihilated.
So they're fully dead. Let's get the sniper. Take a shot. Good stuff. Let's take a shot. Good stuff. Let's throw a grenade. It is a hand mortar, actually. It's not quite a grenade. Heal these guys just in case they die. If they die in the battle, by the way, they die in the campaign. They do not come back. So it is kind of permadeath, I suppose, for units. Alright, anything else to do? We have this guy. I can still throw grenades. Yeah, I might as well just drive him up. Chuck a grenade at this guy. Boop. So he's so close to dying, but he's just not out yet. And by the way, this is obviously a relatively easy mission because I've come so prepared. I was fighting one last night and it was really, really difficult. I was against the assembly. Those kind of half machines, half psionic dudes. Damn, actually after losing a unit just like that. And those guys are a huge challenge.
Enemy destroyed.
Alright, that guy burned to death. Just a kind of a passive effect. But he became one of these other ethereal monster things again. So let's just get moving. These guys have full health, so I don't really mind moving them up and trying to take a shot. Still don't have our ramjet rocket. That actually knocks them back, which is kind of an interesting thing. Alright, cool. So we took him down, which I would assume means these guys are now not mind controlled. Yeah. So that allows us to finish off that dude. And now there's just one unit left. These guys. I'm going to try and get just somewhat of a flank on these guys. Just run up with the mech. I'll try to spike them in the side here. Damn, yeah, not that much damage actually. A ram? The ram seems really powerful, despite how ridiculous it looks. And it's knocked them back. Where's my sniper? You know, sniper's all the way back here. I don't think he's going to be able to take a shot at that distance. And by the way, you can speed it up. You can just do that to kind of quick move everything, which is good. Alright, hopefully no one dies. Oh my god, so close to death. Alright, are we done? I think this is just about it. We'll get the mech to finish him off. %. Let's do it.
Enemy eliminated.
There we go. So that is basically a taste of combat. I obviously have a lot to learn. But either way, I'm still finding it really fun. So I lost one unit, they lost all theirs, whatever. We got the mission done. So what we have to do is click them twice, and we go disrupt this Psynumbra shrine. And then we get a little bit of a quest kind of dialogue here. It's good to see you're a Devar of your word. My brother has returned to me, and he speaks highly of your valor. I too shall keep my word. We shall direct our efforts towards stopping this Redeemer cult. And that's basically giving me a bunch of energy and then a provisional weapon augment. So that's going to be a mod for one of the units that we can put on them, or we can just sell it for instant energy if we want. So yeah, so that's just like a little taste of combat. That's a little taste of doing, you know, the kind of a couple missions that I've been given. And generally what you'd be doing in this campaign. Now, I haven't really interacted too much with the other races. There's my ally now, who's over here, is doing his thing, you know, building up. He's got 12 people in his city, and he's got units, and we're kind of allied, and we can share visibility on his territory if we want. And then we've got an enemy up north, which I think I have in a later save. So if we just go really quickly to here, we can just have a quick look at maybe, you know, 10 more turns advanced into the campaign. We can see how I built up a bit more. So in this campaign, you know, you can see I've built Okarov, a new city, and I'm trying to connect it to Carminia's Blessing Palace because it wasn't connected before. We still can't annex it in properly. That's why it's got this dotted line rather than a kind of more continuous one. So the reason for that is before we can annex it, we need 2 more colonists in a nearby sector. So this is just starting to grow. So once it gets to 4, then we can kind of integrate it and gain its benefits properly. But I've also extended out and built out Kasimonov, which now has 12 in it. These guys are on the mountain. They're getting ready to attack me, which is really where I left off and why I lost not too long ago. Because if this guy dies, we lose the campaign. Inessa Zelazo. So yeah, we're very close to actually losing this situation. So there is a garrison force that's in this place, but I really need to bring up something quick. Or you can do these kind of
Operations available for
priming operations thing. We could drop in a unit of trenchers off map, but it takes 2 or 3 turns to prime and then you call it in, which is kind of cool. So you can have certain ones ready and active, or primed and ready to go, I should say, if you forward planned enough. So yeah, so that's kind of interesting. And then I'm also planning on building out here. I want to annex this area in and then build some naval units and attack the marauders at sea. So the marauders at sea, like, these are naval units, and they absolutely destroy land transports that are just sitting out at sea. So you really do need naval defenses as well. So like I said, really enjoying the range and variety of stuff to do in this campaign. I didn't even show you guys, there's a tech tree, there's a society tech tree, and then there's also the militarist tech tree. You can kind of go down those both at the same rate, and they use your knowledge to advance through time and stuff. So I think for this one, yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. I've researched ironclads, but I didn't know how to recruit them. But it turns out you need to annex a sea sector and then build up a base on that. And then you can recruit from Fastopol to the sea sector. And that's kind of how you do it. So pretty cool stuff. So what I was going to do now is, now that you've got a basic idea of what this game's all about, we're going to hop out and have a look at some of these sandboxy settings. Because that's the campaign. That's kind of more linear. It's a smaller map with just a few things going on. So here's the 11 different campaigns I was talking about. These are the 3 that you start off with. So Leave 6, Arcadia Celeste, and Chimera Glacialis. That's the planet we were just on. This is another planet. Now the campaign, there's no overarching meta to this campaign. They don't connect together, which is something I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. I think if they really wanted to hammer this home, having it have this kind of galactic map that then also has this campaign on the planet that then also has battles, I think that would have been a really cool 3-step kind of thing. And even if it was just like, oh, just like 10 planets on this kind of galactic map, I think that would have been really cool. And maybe that you could have brought some resources with you to the different planets or something. I don't know. Just some sort of meta, I think, would have been really excellent. But either way, it's still pretty fun and enjoyable just to try and check everything out. So let's hop back out. We'll go to new scenario. So in the scenarios, you can start with a default world, which is Imperial. You can do a frontier world, capital world, or ravaged world. Those are the 4 world types. But then in the advanced setups is where you can really kind of change the type of world you have. You can have an enormous sized world with continents. You can change a bunch of different things that's on the map, the climes that are on the map, you know, how much Arctic, arid, fungal, volcanic. It's basically biomes. And then again, forest, fertile plains. And you can kind of adjust all of that or just have it all be random. So there's a lot of stuff you can kind of change for a sandboxy type game. You can go up to 12 players. You can select a commander then, and this is where you see the different races. So there's 6 different races. The Kurko, which are these weird looking alien kind of things. They use bioweapons and psi weapons. Then you have Syndicate. They use arc weapons and psi weapons. They have slave units. You have the Amazons, I guess women warriors or whatever. Spartan, fearsome troops with Spartan discipline, bioweapons, laser weapons. Then we have the Devar, the guys that I've been playing as. Firearms, you know, by default. And by the way, there's this huge expansive encyclopedia for looking up pretty much everything you need to know, and it's really good. You can search like a term, annex, and then you can pretty much learn everything about it if you want. It's actually really, really helpful. Or you can filter it by different things, game concepts, technologies, things like that. So really good, and how the overlays actually link into those things is great as well. So that's Devart. Then we have Assembly. These guys are probably my favorite looking of the bunch, and they use the arc weapons and firearms weapons groups as well. And then we have, let's have a look at different commanders here. So these commanders come with different things. You know, these are the things that change. Their technology types change based on who they are. So you have 6 different races, but then you have different excuse me, then you have different technology trees within that, and then different capabilities for the commanders themselves. And I think you can get multiple commanders, like famous commanders, within the same game. I think so. At least in the campaign it seems that way. So yeah, I mean, these guys just look so cool. All right, and then we have the Vanguard, which are probably the most boring. They're just human. They're basically just human. So yeah, those are the 6 different races, and these are all the different kind of things that you can pick and go with, and then you can customize them further. So like I said, you can go, let's just go Syndicate, or actually, sorry, let's go Assembly. Then we can say we want their technology to be Void Tech. Then we can, I don't know, we'll just leave that as it is, but there's a bunch of different kind of backgrounds for how we want our initial commander to be, and then we can kind of design them themselves. So we can go the background, even if we just want some kind of cool different backgrounds. We can change their heads, their skin texture, make them old, battered, change their eyes. So it's just like a lot of cool, man, that's really hard to see that one actually. The eyes, eyebrows, that's very specific. Jawline, yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. Something like this. Hair color, just for the eyebrows. Then we got different types of torso and all that, and it changes like your portrait, and you do see this character in game, so it's cool just to be able to customize that and have your own kind of cool character. The different head items that you can have. So I don't know, it's cool, I like it. We could just randomize to really see a bunch of differences. Actually, it's probably the best thing to do. So a lot of variation, you know, I think it's cool. And then yeah, you can customize your flag a little bit, go with the primary and secondary color, and then choose the kind of symbol that you want to go with, and then save that commander for later. And I think you can have that commander appear in other games like as the AI, so you could even set up your own civil wars if you wanted to with all just one race. So I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot to go on there. Now, like I said, I haven't played the other Age of Wonders games, so I can't really compare, but so far, 10 hours in at least, I'm finding the game a lot of fun. If I was to be as critical as I can be, so far, it seems pretty easy and pretty linear how you build cities. I think Civilization 6, in particular, with its latest expansion that introduces power and stuff like that, definitely has more depth on the campaign, but it doesn't have battles, I suppose. So it's a bit of a trade-off in that regard. But it does seem like world generation and kind of objectives and narrative is a lot stronger in this game. So I guess those are the kind of 2 comparisons that I would kind of compare each other with. This is why I don't do live things, guys. I just stumble over myself like crazy. Right, so that's pretty much it. There is also multiplayer, and you can also even play it asynchronously. So if you didn't want to play at the same time, you could just send your friends saves and play the turns separately. And that's basically it. So that is Age of Wonders Planetfall. Kind of a bit of a rambly video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nevertheless. And yeah, let me know what you think of the game if you're going to be picking it up. By the way, I got this game 45% off on CD keys for just about £25. Basically half price of what it is on Steam. If you want to get the game at 45% off and support this channel as well, you can use my CD keys affiliate link in the description. Greatly appreciate it. It'll probably be in the top comments as well. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.